Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a major update here today. The first phase of the Trump peace plan within Gaza and the war between Israel and Hamas, the first step has been agreed to, with Hamas agreeing to return the hostages and Trump telling Israel, he's really said it over the past few days, stop the bombing of the Gaza Strip. I mean, at this point, what's left to bomb? And so apparently the agreement is Israel will move back. They're still not fully out of Gaza. It's more of a multi-stage peace effort, but this is stage one, to where they move back to a certain line. And then hopefully, as more things can be negotiated out and agreed upon, we can have some prolonged peace. Of course, liberals are going to come out, and it is crazy when you think about it, because many liberals, a lot of younger people have been saying this is terrible. It's a pure genocide. I mean, you look at the photos, it's really, really bad. And Gaza is completely and utterly obliterated. So for someone like Trump to end this, it's so seismic. And it's like, what's the excuse? What's the angle? Well, they're saying it's a temporary ceasefire. It's not going to last. But remember, they said that the ceasefire between Pakistan and India was not going to last, and Israel, Iran, and we'll see, maybe the Israel-Iran situation will kick up again in the future. Certainly, we wouldn't want that to happen under Trump, because it's a big issue. But this is something to where, I mean, what else are they supposed to say? It's an amazing, amazing thing. And even CNN, you watch some of these clips on CNN, they're saying, well, why wasn't the Biden administration able to do this? And the big takeaway is, it's really just networking, it's communication, it's the fact that Trump has a lot better of a relationship and communicates a lot more with these Gulf states, with these Middle Eastern countries. They say that is the extra ingredient. All of the other Middle Eastern countries coming together and saying this must end now. And then you do also have external pressure, and this is just because of Israel's actions. There is external pressure coming from other countries onto Israel, with a lot of the countries in Europe recognizing Palestine, and Israel's public image in the foreign countries taking a major hit. And so for Israel, there is the thought of, well, let's just get out of this and then maybe replace Netanyahu and try and rebuild our image, which it looks like they're potentially going to be trying to do. But it's important to understand when it comes to this peace deal, because I originally thought that, well, it looks like Israel wants to annex some territory, specifically in the West Bank. Gaza at this point, I mean, what are you going to annex? You're going to have to rebuild it. There's going to have to be a major investment, probably from many of the Gulf states. That's what the Trump's peace plan calls for. But areas of the West Bank potentially being annexed by Israel under Trump would be a terrible look. But apparently that's not happening, and the Palestinians will not be displaced to Jordan or another country or Egypt. Or, they'll be able to return under this deal, and we'll see if this goes through, because they can say it's not going to go through. That's not how it's going to work. Why would Israel agree to this? There's people within Israel's camp that are very disappointed and very angry, and Netanyahu, they wanted the Palestinians expelled from the region for good. And according to this Trump peace deal, I mean, could you imagine if Trump just gave Israel Gaza, gave them parts of the West Bank, expelled all the Palestinians, what people would be saying about Trump? That's not happening under this deal as it reads currently. It's not happening. They're going to be able to return. It's going to be rebuilt. And Israel gets no annexed territory in the West Bank either, from what I'm understanding. So you want to talk about really a potential win-win. Now, it does require a full de-armament of Hamas, which might be familiar with Eastern Europe. Russia wants Ukraine to demilitarize. Ukraine says it's non-negotiable. That's one of the reasons there's a major hang-up in that war. And so maybe that'll be another hang up. That's like part 2, part 3 of this peace plan. That's why people think it could fall apart. But still, even getting this done, it's the networking. It's all the other countries. It's Trump going on the Middle Eastern trip. Even just from a bipartisan point of view, analyzing Trump against Biden, it's really night and day. And now people, even someone like Caitlin Collins, who's a CNN, it's a liberal network, she says, well, Trump is up basically every hour, every day. The press has a very hard time keeping up with him. He works like 20 hours a day. It's ridiculous. And then they over embellish. They say he golfs. I mean, Trump works way more than Biden. This was such an important, remember the trip that he went on right after he became president? He secured all of the, or I guess right after he was inaugurated. He went on that Middle Eastern trip to Qatar, to the United Arab Emirates. He secured major deals, major investment deals into the United States, and a lot of these countries were extremely key in pressuring Israel and Hamas to reach this ceasefire agreement. It's just phase one. We'll see. There's going to be some tougher things that are going to have to be negotiated out. But even ABC, this is like a big picture point of view. You look at Biden versus Trump, you look at all of the liberal and conservative outrage over Israel's actions in Gaza, but it still happened under Biden. Trump comes in, and within 10 months, or I mean, what is it, 9.5 months, or even maybe even only 9 months, whatever it is, I guess it's less than 9 months, Trump has secured an initial ceasefire. That's what we can call it. It's an initial ceasefire. ABC says, make no mistake, it looks like President Trump has actually pulled off something here that many presidents before have failed to do. And so the question is, will it hold? There's been many ceasefires that are broken. Israel tends to break a lot of ceasefires. Is there going to be a situation to where there's a rocket fired out of Gaza, then Hamas gets blamed and Israel says they can continue? People originally thought there's no way Israel would accept this Trump peace plan. With the only reason they would accept it is because they knew Hamas would decline. So they could say, well, we tried to have peace and we're going to go in, we're going to clean them out, and we're going to quote unquote finish the job, which is something common you hear out of the Israeli government. Some of those people saying, this has to be it because of October 7th. We have to expel the people from the region. We can't coexist. It's not going to happen. There's no two-state solution. Well, this is a two-state solution brought by Trump. And the thought is that Netanyahu begrudgingly agrees to this. Let's take a look at some of this. You can see this Free Palestine. Yeah, Trump did do this, and they're going to rebuild the area, and the Palestinians, according to this peace deal, they're going to be able to return. They're very angry about it, though. These liberals, they're not happy about no matter what Trump does. Hamas accepts President Trump's peace plan, ending the war in Gaza after 2 years and returning all the hostages, with the war ending immediately. And you can see all of these other parts of, look at this, Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza. Gaza will be governed by a temporary transitional government. You've got Netanyahu declaring Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize. He deserves it. Maybe not the best visual here. It looks like they're giving Trump the Top Goy Award. So maybe not the best visual with that. But people are wondering, will Trump get the Nobel Peace Prize? I don't think they're going to give it to him. I don't think for 2025, they're not going to do it. Unless, listen, if he somehow within the next month or so is able to, he tried. He tried to end the war in Eastern Europe, meeting with Putin, meeting with Zelensky many times. It's not for a lack of effort. It is kind of funny, the whole thing. People, because nobody else is talking about this. I just thought about this randomly a few days ago. We all remember the Russia hoax, but understand what that was based on. Like, Trump is in bed with Putin. Well, it's like we've come full circle. Trump now is actively helping Ukraine fight against Putin. And it's not in the same way in which the Democrats were doing it, because Trump has deals with Ukraine and with Western Europe to where we're not going to be necessarily paying, or we're going to be getting paid back for the weaponry that we give them. But it is still funny how their entire thought process and thesis was like Trump is in bed with Putin, and now Trump is actively funding a war effort against Putin. It's just funny when you think about it like that, like the context of it. And look, we know why that's happening. I've analyzed it. It's because there has to be pressure that needs to be applied to Russia for them to come to the negotiating table. And then they still might not, even because of the manpower advantage that Russia has over Ukraine. But, Trump said he's going to Israel. He's giving a speech in a few days. And we'll see if this ends up holding. People say, oh, it'll never hold. It'll never hold. There's agreements that have to be reached for sure. But we heard that about India, Pakistan. We heard that about Israel, Iran. People still think, well, there's going to be, I don't think the Israel-Iran geopolitical situation is over, but even the United States involvement was extremely small. It was 2 days the U.S. was really involved, and there were no U.S. troops that were even nicked by anything in that war. The missiles were fired. They were told where they were going to come into in Qatar, and so it's like that's not that people are over embellishing that as well. Now you can say, well, the United States should not be helping out Israel. It's a waste. It's fear mongering. I would agree. I think it's a bit ridiculous. But the point here is that this is a huge deal. It's a landmark deal for Trump. And really, this is something you can put up there when you're talking about achievements within this administration, because we can say, well, tariffs, the revenue, all that. But people will just say, well, it bogs down the economy, inflation, even though it's really not causing inflation. But, they're going to try and argue that this is something that where they all say it's a genocide, it's horrible. Trump has ended it. And it's not like this is this crazy sweetheart deal for Israel where they get a bunch of land. That's not what this is. So think about that. I mean, this is a major thing as long as this holds for the administration to hang their heads on going into the midterms. And then maybe also the Eastern Europe situation as well. Now that one it has its own issues, and Trump has tried and it hasn't worked. But this is a huge thing, and you can see there's Trump with Rubio. Trump was at this round table where they were talking to a bunch of independent journalists talking about Antifa. And then he gets a little note from Rubio. And it seems like that's when he realized it has been agreed to. They thought there was a good chance that it could happen within, the next few days. Trump had talked about it. And yesterday was the day the peace deal happened. So this is big, guys. We're going to see if this holds. Hamas agreeing to release the hostages. Palestinians not getting ejected from their land. Their land's going to be rebuilt. And they can come back to it. That's the deal. A lot of people within Israel saying it's not good enough. But this is what Trump does. And Trump told Israel, you need to stop the bombing. And Israel supposedly has stopped. And so we'll see if this ends up holding, but it's a landmark achievement for the administration. There's no doubt about it, as long as it holds. As long as it holds within the Middle East, and then we'll see what happens with Israel, Iran, because that's probably the next situation that people are going to talk about within the Middle East for sure. And who knows if that's going to kick up again with people wondering, well, Israel wants the regime change. They haven't destroyed all of the nuclear facilities, all of the centrifuges. They still have enriched uranium. I mean, to a degree, they probably do have some enriched uranium, but, that's what people are going to start wondering and start talking about if this is a prolonged peace deal. So we'll have to see. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you like the video down below. Also follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.